Hey, a couple of subscribers to the channel mentioned that they thought I probably had the nicest KLR in Kansas and asked me if I'd take them through it and show them what's on it. You know, I think it is actually probably the nicest KLR in Kansas, at least as far as I've seen. So I'm happy to take a few minutes to do that. I'll caution you just about two things. I'm not going to clean it for you, and I probably can't remember everything I've done to it. So I'll do my best. So here's the little beauty. This is a 2009 Kawasaki KLR650. It's not a 650 anymore, but that's the model number anyway. I'll take you through it. Why don't I just start from the front and just go to the rear? That might be easiest. So let's see. God, I'm never going to be able to remember all this stuff. I've been working on this bike for years. So yeah, I've got these two floodlights that point in whatever direction the front wheel is headed, and they're just really useful because, as we know, the stock headlights on the KLR, you can only do so much to them. However, the low bulb here, I do have an LED bulb that was made for me by a friend, actually, and it's worked pretty well. On the front here, I have a fork brace. You know, I can't remember the brand. I believe it's actually, I think it's a Canadian brand, but I've always been happy with it. It really helps the KLR. It's really interesting. It helps the KLR at low speeds on trails, in my opinion, and helps tremendously at high speeds. So the brake rotor here is a floating rotor that I put in, and actually I believe I did a video showing the install of that. I'll put a link to it on the screen. And let's see. Probably a lot of stuff you can't even really see. Actually, you know, there's something that I should point out on this bike that's pretty cool, actually, which is much more helpful than you would think. Let me see if I can get a light on here. Yeah. So this little doohickey right here, these are called, I think they're called like angel rings or something. There's one on this side and then one on that side right there. And basically, when you need to tie down the bike, those are actually much stronger than they look, but they let you tie down the bike really nicely. Very conveniently to attach hooks to them when you tie down the bike when you're traveling, if it's being trailered or something like that. And they're like $10, and they are worth every penny. They're one of the favorite things. There's a few things on the bike that just sort of return. There's a huge return on investment, and that's one of them. Actually, here's another one right here, which is these pegs, these highway pegs. They fold up out of the way, so most of the time, of course, they're really not even there as far as you can see. But once you're going on the highway, they're just unbelievably convenient. I just love them. They really let you, change your foot position and be way more comfortable. Going around the other side here, take you up to the dash. So there's Sycra hand grips here, which I think that I like them the best. I think they're the strongest. Omni Cruise control, I like it because it's kind of idiot proof. Once you get used to using it, it's very convenient, and it costs very little money, and it works. I've got my phone up here, and that's really, I don't use the phone very much. I just really want it visible in case somebody is trying to reach me or something like that. I have it fed through to the Bluetooth in my helmet. And then I've got a Garmin mounted here on my KLR dash. This is a really nice thing. It mounts using these two screws that were already there on the screws aren't on the bike. These are extra long ones, but the mounting holes are there. And it just gives you a lot of real estate to mount stuff to. I think it does flop around a little bit. So I don't know if you can see that I have it secured also with zip ties. And by the way, this is a C. Bailey's windshield. Of course, the KLR windshield is pretty bad. And since I do go down the highway a lot, I like something a little bit bigger. The nice thing about this is it's not just bigger, it also is adjustable, and so you can have it however you want. It's kind of nice. I put this is the lower KLR dash right here, and that I have a voltmeter there and a USB port. That little sign that says fuel switch, I don't know if that's visible to you, but that's basically just reminding me to turn the darn fuel off, because I removed the vacuum petcock a long time ago and replaced it with the blockoff kit that Jeff Saline sold me, and it's been fantastic ever since. But you do have to remember to turn it off. Technically, if everything's working fine and the carb and the float bowl's doing what it's supposed to do, then it shouldn't be necessary. But if something in the carb wasn't working right, then of course, there'd be a lot of fuel in there that would be just running down. So I just always turn the fuel off. Aside, I put these mirrors on. I don't know what the heck they are. I can't remember. There's some no-name thing. They were just larger and lower than those Mickey Mouse ones that come with the KLR. And so I put those on, but unfortunately I don't remember where I got them. I just remember they were really cheap, and I've been always actually quite happy with them. So that's a giant loop tank bag. I like this tank bag. Just the size is good. Tank bags are always a compromise because the shape is always a little awkward. But the giant loop is fairly good in weather resistance, and it holds pretty much what I'm looking to hold, and doesn't really get in my way, which is sort of, for me, that's pretty important. And I should mention, gosh, I'm just realizing all the stuff here that this cabling for the accelerator, the throttle cables are all replacement. They're longer because the handlebars are mounted on these handlebar risers that are mechanically isolated from the rest of the bike. They actually, I don't know if I can get them to move with just one hand. No, I can't. But basically, there's no mechanical connection or direct metal-to-metal connection between the handlebars and the bike. It's sort of suspended on these rubber bushings, and that really quiets down the handlebars, both to avoid the vibration from highway driving and gives you a nice, just a nice kind of agile feel off-road. Speaking of nice agile feel off-road, the front suspension is completely replaced with Cogent springs and valves inside there, and frankly, that's well, I told you before I'd mentioned things that were cheap and I thought had a lot of bang for the buck. The Cogent is just the opposite. It's quite expensive, but there's a tremendous bang for the buck. It really, I remember the first time I put the Cogent suspension on front and rear and took it for a ride on a rocky trail. I was actually laughing inside my helmet to myself because I couldn't believe the difference. So let's see, I'm just checking to see if there's anything on this side. Well, yeah, there always is, I guess. So there's this big ass bash plate on the bottom here, and I think that's an SW Motec bash plate. And then of course there's these SW Motec crash bars on the side. The nice thing about those is they really they protect the bike spectacularly. I've crashed this bike many times, and I'm just always floored at how it just walks away from it. Let's see, on this side, probably the only things worth noting are three things: the slightly extended shift lever, which if you have large feet like I do, then that's really nice to have. I can't remember actually what brand this darn thing is, but anything that is solidly built by a reputable manufacturer is going to work well there. These are the cheap eBay pegs. I've always actually been quite happy with these. They were like $9 or $10. They're light years better than what comes with the bike. The kickstand itself, you can't really tell. It's because the fella, my friend Dave, did a nice job. But basically, I shortened the kickstand by 1 inch and then re-welded it, and that's so that the bike won't sit quite as upright. Out here in Kansas, it's very, very windy, and I've noticed that sometimes the bike can actually, it's so tippy because it's so upright that it can blow over in a very strong wind. So this was to just get the bike a little more tilty. And then here's great bang for the buck is this. That's the foot on the bottom of the kickstand from, I think, JNS Engineering. I think it's called their Bigfoot. Just great for any kind of gravel or dirt. I don't have to deal with like soft pavement, which is, I think, another reason why you might get it. But it's really just fantastic. It lets you get a very secure grip in basically any surface. And I should say, by the way, right back in there is the nut, the counter sprocket nut there, and that's a one from Eagle Mike, and it's a, what do you call it? You know, the self-torquing one. So basically, once you fasten it down, you don't need that that washer anymore there to hold it on. You can actually see here the reservoir from the Cogent Pro setup. It also has this preload adjuster here. So the preload adjuster, extra reservoir, and then of course the beefed up spring is in there. There's also just a 12-volt pigtail coming off the top. Here's the battery compartment, and I have a what do you call it? One of those fancy batteries. I can't remember the name. One of those lithium-ion batteries. Sorry. This is a seat I don't like, really. It's fairly comfortable. It's a Corbin seat I got this one from Happy Trail, but honestly, it's a little heavy for my taste. It's way, way more comfortable in stock, but I've always thought it was needlessly heavy. I think sometime I might very well get another seat. Can't decide. These rear pannier racks, I can't remember the darn brand on these, but they're wonderful. Oh, son of a gun. If I find them, I'll put it in the notes, the video below. But I think, is it possible they're made by Cycle Racks? No, I don't think so. Anyway, they're fantastic, and they've protected the bike many, many times in falls. Just looking around to see if there's anything back here I'd want to show. I don't think so. This is another thing I don't like on the bike. This is the rear thing that I got from Happy Trails, and in fact, I've had it for almost the entire time since I've owned the bike, and it works okay. Its main advantage is that it's nice and light, but I don't like most of the connection points, and it's, in my opinion, it doesn't. I don't think that it's very well thought out. So someday I may replace it with one. Actually, I've been looking at the Cycle Racks one lately, lusting after it. I'll just mention right back on here, if you put this on, you do have to extend the turn signals back farther. And then what I did was I also put these little things here are, they look like nuts that, hold the license plate on, but, they're also LEDs. So when the light's on, the license plate is illuminated. By the way, inside here is also a wonderful, I can't remember, I think I got it at Happy Trails. I don't think they make it though. And it's an LED thing where when you apply the brake, it flashes and then stays on. It's very bright and very attention-getting to drivers behind you. I really like that. By the way, all the lights on the bike have ultimately been converted to LED. At the back here, you'll see the Leo Vince exhaust. I couldn't ever say whether or not the bike actually has better performance with it or not. I'm a little skeptical about that. It sounds good and looks good, and if you cut open the stock muffler, it's so unbelievably restricted that it's really hard to believe that opening it up as this pipe doesn't help. But I've never done any testing to see, so I can't really tell you. The rear, of course, there's some. I have steel brake lines in the rear. Also, you have this protector that protects the brake master cylinder there. And then let's see. Basically, I was hoping there might be some indication here that I could use for this, but not really. So the engine itself is an Eagle Mike 685 kit. So this isn't a 650 anymore, and that is a fairly expensive upgrade, but which I save money by doing it all myself, and it's absolutely positively worth it in every way. I said that I couldn't tell a performance increase from the Leo Vince can on the back, but holy smokes, you can really feel that the 685 definitely wakes the bike up quite a bit. Really nice, really nice. Speaking of waking the bike up, the airbox is a drilled airbox that basically with a snorkel removed. And my gosh, I would recommend if the single, the cheapest performance upgrade you can do to the KLR is to simply, in my opinion, remove the air snorkel, because it costs nothing to remove it. It takes 1 minute, and the bike feels peppier to me. I also have the thermal bob on the bike here, which is of course a cooling system add-on that actually converts the system to a slightly more modern system, and also slightly raises the operating temperature of the bike, because these bikes actually, although people are always obsessed with their bikes running cooler, in fact these almost always run too cool, and it's nicer to have something that jack up the temperature a little bit. Another interesting thing is this. This is the shift connector here is a custom-made one that changes the angle of the shifting and gives you a far better shift feel. And there's also, I don't know if you can probably see, but right beside it here is a separate shift clutch cable that routes next to the new one here. And so if the new one fails, there's always a second one right next to it, because you don't want to be out in the middle of nowhere with that cable in your way, with the cable failing. There's actually, this here is, I don't know, I don't think you may be able to see the darn thing, but that's where the thermal bob connects to the cylinder of the bike. So that's my 2009 Kawasaki KLR650. I think I actually maybe overlooked quite a few things, but oh, actually, here's the name of that fork brace, super brace. I couldn't remember the name of it. I'm sure I overlooked a few things, and if anybody has any suggestions for improvements to the bike that are worth doing, just let me know. Thanks again.